The man who knew the risks chose not to act when it mattered. The Man Who Knew by Sebastian Mallaby. Audiobook summary and review by StoryShots. Alan Greenspan retired from the Federal Reserve in 2006 as the most celebrated economist on Earth. Then came 2008, and the financial system collapsed. That is the thesis of The Man Who Knew, The Life and Times of Alan Greenspan by Sebastian Mallaby. This isn't a story about an ideologue who trusted markets too much. It's about expertise without courage. The libertarian who abandoned his principles. Greenspan started as a fire-breathing libertarian who called the Fed's creation a historic mistake. In his youth, he belonged to Ayn Rand's inner circle and argued for the gold standard. At 33, he wrote that responding to financial bubbles should be a central bank's core mission. Then he spent 18 years as Fed chairman doing the opposite. The transformation began with a single decision in the Ford administration. Greenspan caved to political pressure on a bill signing, and ideology became secondary to pragmatism. Each compromise led to the next. By the time he reached the Fed, his libertarian beliefs existed only as shadows. Your career is shaped less by what you believe than by what you're willing to compromise. Greenspan's evolution reveals how ambition reshapes conviction faster than experience reshapes understanding. The data obsessive who saw what others missed. Greenspan's real talent wasn't theory, it was his obsession with data. Raised in Washington Heights by a single mother, he turned statistics into performance art as a child. As a consultant, he translated economic weather into language captains of industry could use. He didn't follow Chicago school monetarism or Keynesian demand management. He drowned himself in details others ignored. In the mid-1990s, when every economist said productivity growth was stagnant, he looked at the numbers differently. He called it, productivity was accelerating beyond what official statistics showed. He was right. He understood that asset prices drive economic cycles through wealth effects and credit availability. Insight without action is just expensive self-awareness. But knowing and acting are different skills, and Greenspan proved better at the first than the second. The crisis he predicted but didn't prevent. By the 2000s, Greenspan was openly discussing financial instability in Fed meetings. He saw the housing bubble forming. He understood the risks in unregulated derivatives and over-leveraged banks. He had tried to push for tighter mortgage regulation years earlier and gotten nowhere. So when the crisis came, the conventional story got it wrong. Greenspan wasn't a naive ideologue who believed markets self-correct. He was a political realist who knew that controlling asset prices required regulatory tools he didn't have and political capital he couldn't spend. He focused on price stability because it was achievable. Financial stability required battles he couldn't win. That choice was his most consequential error. After 2008, his reputation collapsed overnight. The man hailed as a maestro became the scapegoat for the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. The tragedy isn't ignorance. It's knowing exactly what will go wrong and choosing not to intervene. If someone in your life is navigating the gap between understanding a problem and having the power to fix it, send them this summary. Final summary. This summary of The Man Who Knew threads together Greenspan's ideological transformation, his unmatched skill at reading data, and his failure to prevent the 2008 crisis into a single argument. Expertise without authority is powerless, and authority without courage is dangerous. But Mallaby's full biography goes deeper. It reveals how Greenspan's political compromises compounded over decades, why his early warnings about bubbles were ignored, and what his famous irrational exuberance speech actually meant. You'll see how his relationships with presidents from Nixon to Bush shaped policy, and why his 1982 break with Ayn Rand mattered more than anyone realized. We're putting together the full summary of The Man Who Knew right now, with a visual infographic and animated video. Follow the book in the StoryShots app to get it the moment it's ready.